What's up, bitches? I'm Chrissy Spierka, your tour guide to inner healing, and I'm here to tell you the things that you don't want to hear. Do you ever go through life feeling like something isn't right, but you can't quite put your finger on it, and then the more you think about it, you start to figure out how life is kind of messed up, but then you feel overwhelmed because you just don't know what the hell to do about it? Does that resonate at all? This is something I think about all the time, and I have a lot of theories on the matter. I don't know that I'm right, but I don't know that I'm wrong either. And over the last 2 weeks, I've had some really interesting experiences that have kind of opened my eyes and affirmed for me what I have come to realize to be true, and I want to share that with all of you. A couple weeks ago, I did a podcast episode where I talked about how we are made to feel guilty for being lazy as a form of mass manipulation by the upper classes that want the lower classes to do all the heavy lifting so that they don't have to. Right? They live off of the backs of our labor for them. And this keeps us stuck, right? And there's this rhetoric around being lazy and needing to work harder. And then this week, I am attending Peter Sage's 5-day challenge. And he talks about how the secrets of manifestation are safeguarded by secret societies. And then I attended something called the Wild Ones Community, where Jenner is her name. I can't remember her last name. Said the exact same thing. And it was a moment of affirmation for me that, one, what I'm thinking isn't wrong, and two, I need to be talking about this. However, when you work to build a business, you're often told to not be controversial, to only talk about your business. And I'm done with that. I'm going to talk about the controversial things because when it comes to the world of personal development and healing, I think people are so focused on developing the self that they lose track of how that actually shows up in the world. And if we can be willing to talk about why the world looks the way it does because people are not healing, I think those people who are turned off by the healing world for it being selfish and narcissistic will start to understand better why this work needs to be done, that it's not actually selfish, that it is the best thing we can do to heal the world. Right? It's not about following your bliss and going climbing mountains in Spain because life is too hard. It's about taking a good hard look at yourself and being honest with yourself about where you suck as a person and where you can grow as a person. And when we take full personal responsibility and accountability for why we suck, and we show up for that, and we name it and we claim it, and we work to improve that, we stop accepting shitty behavior from other people, and we force them to look at themselves, and they can either name it and claim it and release it, or they can continue to live like assholes, and then they can do so on their own time. But if we have enough people looking at themselves and being willing to admit that they're being an asshole, eventually we'll create a culture shift where people will stop feeling entitled to being assholes and start doing that deep work to improve themselves. And right now it's just been like a woo-woo kind of thing, or something that like monks go do in the mountains, or like, stoned hippies dropping acid used to do, right? Now it's becoming a whole movement. Now the I mean, if you just look at India, right? The yoga world, before it became to the US and became the get skinny and strong movement, right? It was a whole culture around self-reflection. The dark night of the soul was something that was taught and expected that every person would go through. And through the practice of yoga, people were given the tools to do that self-reflection, to do that inner work, to do that growth. But somewhere along the way, it came to the West, and it had to be commoditized in order to make it palatable. Because here in the US, we are hedonists. We just live for the pleasure. We live for the moment. So yoga had to be repackaged so that people would be willing and open to it in some way, shape, or form. And so we've seen what the the toxic yogic world has evolved into, unfortunately. But it had to start somewhere, right? Because in those hot yoga rooms, in those power yoga rooms, in those narcissistic yoga rooms, there was a person who started to say, this is interesting, is there more to this? And would go actually learn more deeply about what yoga actually meant, and started to deepen their study, and started to live the way of the yogi, actually embody that, and started to create the ripple effect. And more people are starting to recognize and reject that I'm just going to go do yoga to be pretty and strong. Yoga is not about how good you can get into your downward dog. It's about connecting with yourself on a deeper level. Being willing to take a good hard look at yourself and do the hard work, and to push yourself to expand, to grow as a person. And if we can create a collective movement around that, if we can start to reject the vanity metrics and the people doing handstands on top of a yoga mountain to get the likes and the views, right? And start to actually look at what those messages are, we would see a huge shift in this world, right? Because also, we now have the internet, so that information can get into the hands of people who were before segregated from society, namely women in extremist religious cultures. And we can start to reach those people who have been shuttered off from education. And we can open them up to a way of being, to get into those cultures who live in repressive patriarchy that only want to kill the enemy. I think that's really sad, but I think that if we can start to really live the philosophy, and we start to talk about it out loud and talk about how it shows up in the world at large, we can create ripple effects that can reach those people who before now were untouchable, unreachable. Where there is internet, there is a way. For better or for worse, Jerry Springer porn, whatever. The ability to grow and to learn and to advance and to evolve as a culture, as a society, exists through the power of the internet. And so while I'm huge on creating community, local community, going outside and talking to your neighbors, go outside and talking to your family, having the hard conversations with people at Thanksgiving instead of staying at home because you don't want to talk to them. And also, the internet is an amazing tool to reach people that you could never reach before. So I want to use the internet to help spread the message that is near and dear to my heart that I think can help change the world, one person at a time. Because I am not so naive to think that I can actually change the world, but I do have faith that I can change a couple people's lives. And then those couple people can then change a couple more people's lives. And inadvertently, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand, maybe a couple million people's lives will be changed. And maybe I can motivate a couple more people to share their message to reach a couple more people, couple more million people. Right? That is the ripple effect. Because more and more people are talking about this, and we need more and more people talking about this. There are 8 billion people in the world, and there are definitely not 8 billion conversations around personal growth and evolution happening. How can we make the world a better place? And in fact, unfortunately, the conversations that carry the most weight are the conversations that are paid for. And those are the conversations that try to figure out how to make more money and have more war and keep more people stuck so that very few people can live very high luxury, while the rest of us are fighting their wars for them to make them more money, and we live lives that are less than what they could be. And I think at this point in history, we are starting to recognize and wake up to the fallacies, the hypnosis, the mass manipulations the society exists in. I mean, just look at the amount of movies that talk about like the end of days. There's a reason why there's so many movies about what happens when the world ends. Because secretly we kind of want the world to end because we're tired of living like this. Yes, it's amazing we have air conditioning and Netflix and indoor plumbing. Hello. But also, should we still be working like 3 jobs just to be able to afford rent and put food on the table for our families and then not be able to even see our families? No, nobody should be living like that. We have too much money. We have too much technology. No one should be living like that. We should all be able to live a life of purpose and abundance and happiness. Yes, there is work that needs to be done. Yes, we need to still grow food, and someone needs to like hoe a row and plant some seeds and harvest the crops, you know. I think it's very important that we are still very much aware of what it takes to survive without technology. These are vital skills that have taken thousands of years to develop, and we are very quickly losing touch with them because technology is taking their place. And in the same way, I think we need neighbors and internet. We need to remember the natural cycles and what it takes to survive without technology as much as we need technology. We have to honor the labor of those that came before us, and that means we should also remember and learn, pass down what it is to do that labor. Stay in tune with the cycles, honor the seasons. Honor the seasons, live within the seasons. Despite having the technology, that means we don't have to. Use the technology to supplement our lives, not to replace what it means to be alive. And that is where I see the world heading with AI. And that's a very scary thing because we are separating ourselves from what it took to even get us to this place. And we are going to be lost. And I think that's really scary. I don't think that's what humans are here to do. But we always have to bring it back to the self because we can't really control anything. Control is an illusion. There's a lot of illusions in this life, in this world. Control is an illusion, is one of the illusions. The only thing you can control is yourself, how you respond, how you think, how you act, how you feel. That is the only thing you can truly control is yourself. And if we want to bring change to the world, we must learn how to have better control over the self. And that's not to say that like you shouldn't be an emotional being, that shouldn't live experiences or should work 60 hours a week. It's about knowing when and how to be emotional. When and how to be emotional, right? There's a time and a place to feel the feelings. But there's a time and a place to compartmentalize the feelings. And when we live in alignment with the seasons, it helps us understand the ebb and flow of emotions a little bit better. That's a conversation for another day. I'm just going to kind of drop that in the bucket. As my teacher in massage school said, I'm going to say these things, you're not going to understand them, let them wash over your head, and the more you hear them, eventually it'll sink in. Just let it wash over and it'll sink in, right? You hear these things and eventually it'll sink in. You got to start somewhere, but I'm not going to cut out the advanced shit either, right? It'll sink in eventually. And then maybe you're going to hear what I say and then you'll hear someone else say it a little bit differently and it'll make it a little more sense, or they'll explain it a little bit more in depth and you'll be like, oh, that's what she meant, right? We are living in a time where we get to have the very best of life. Generations upon generations upon generations of people have struggled, blood, sweat, tears, in so many iterations to be able to create the world that we live in now, and to only enjoy that world and to disregard all the labor that it took is like a slap in the face to all the lives that people have lived to create the world that we live in now. We must honor the people who came before us. I'm feeling like very like Native American now, honor the ancestors, but it's like really hitting more deeply what that actually means. It's not just about honoring the life before us, it's about honoring the sacrifices that they made to make our world better. In the same way you want your life, your child's life to be better than yours, so has every parent before them, and that's why this world has developed into what it is today. And this amazing world filled with technology that makes our lives easier, that allows us to forget all the work that came before us. And so to truly honor the people that came before us, we must maintain, to a certain extent, some tradition. Like some traditions need to die off, but we must remember that they existed and why they existed. Some traditions we need to hold on to, because that shows us when there's a time and a place to feel and when to turn it off and do the work. So learning how to control the self, there's a time and a place for feeling the feelings, and there's a time and a place to not feel the feelings. Knowing how and when to be in touch with your emotions is what it means to be in control. When to let go of the control and to just be in the experience. When we can get to that place, when that is what inner work is, that is what personal growth is. When we can get to that place on a personal level, which no one ever truly gets there. It's an ongoing journey of growth. I've been doing this work for 15 years, and I'm still working out my anger issues. I am by no means perfect. But I spent a lot of time learning this information, learning how to apply it. But you have to hear things over and over and over before you really know how to apply it. And then you have to be able to speak it out loud and teach people to take it to another level of learning. And that's where I'm at in my journey. I've been learning, I've been applying, and now it's time for me to teach so my application can become deeper. And when we can get more people to this place, this is where we create change in the world. So it's not selfish to be tired and to go take a nap instead of cleaning your toilet, for example, because that means you have a little more capacity to figure out how to feel your feelings the next day. Personal growth is healing the world. But it starts, you have to make it personal. And then you have to understand how that shift is going to show up in the world. And that's where I'm going to talk about the controversial things. Because I want to highlight where people who are not growing and evolving are creating the problems in the world. And I want to be able to say it out loud. And I know that I need to be able to withstand the shitstorm that will come as a result. People might be offended. And that's okay. People need to be offended. I'm going to say the things that you don't want to hear. That you need to hear. A little at a time. Right? If you're dehydrated, you can't drink a gallon of water. You need to sip a little bit at a time to actually have it make a difference. Otherwise, it'll just create more damage. Right? The difference between medicine and poison is the dosage. So I'm going to slowly drip out how I'm feeling, talking about these controversial subjects that business owners are told to stay away from so that they don't lose their business. I don't really have much of a business right now, so I'm not going to be losing very much. I'm hoping to grow my business, and I'm going to hope that I'm not going to lose my ability to grow a business. There is that fear, right? Cancel culture is a real thing. But I think also people are craving the real truth, the raw truth. And they're craving validation that they're not crazy for thinking and feeling the way they're thinking and feeling. But people also need to understand what they can do about it and how it actually does make a difference in the world. So that's what I'm here to do. To help you put that all together. Because when we heal ourselves, we can heal the world. I'm here for you. Namaste, bitches.